Hey, VC, everybody out there, cheers. Mark over here at Twanger's Turntable. I guess when I do a cheers, I probably should take a swig, eh? Been a while. In fact, I just finished filming a video, but you probably won't see that until I finish doing some editing. I was just mentioning to my buddy over there at Brett Headbanger's Closet. I like to edit some of these videos where I'm adding some pictures and some videos, whatnot, music. But I digress. Welcome to Twanger's Turntable, one and all. If you're new to my channel, thank you for dropping by. I hope you'll find something you'll dig. You'll stick around. If you're returning, appreciate your loyalty, sticking around while I've had a bit of a hiatus. It's self-imposed. Sound like a broken record. I mentioned that because I I am typically gone for stretches between my videos of a week to 2 weeks to more, some instances. So it is what it is, as they say. But I'm back to resume the alphabet thread that a few of my peers in the vinyl community have wrapped up recently. Scott over at No Solutions, I think he finished here a couple of weeks ago. Kim over at This Is Music was just before Scott, I guess. And Jason, Low Noise Jason Skills, he finished his up. It might even be a couple of months ago now. I don't know. I can't keep track, but I am determined to finish mine. So, fair warning: this video will have a high UV index. Hardy har har. Yes. So I'm going to cover the letters U and V in this video. Try and get through it. I will get through it. Not try and get through it. I will, but I'll try and combine a couple of them. So without further ado, let's get to it. I'm only showing vinyl that I have. I'm not going to pull out cassettes or compact discs. And I really just grabbed some vinyl that might kind of mix it up a little bit, not just a hard rock or metal, but maybe some. You'll see. Let's get to it. So I'm going to start off with one that's. I would suggest if I were to do a list of top 100 bands, these guys would be in there. I mean, it's just they've always been. Well, let's get to it. So we're going to start with the 1975 release, Force It. UFO. Well, I mean, do I need to say much more about this? This a great album. I think that pretty much any of their albums, to me, is a worthy one to own on vinyl, and I only own 3 of them to this juncture. So that's the first one I own. Like I say, that's Force It from 1975, and then I have Obsessions. This is what, 78. This one came out. Another solid album. I love this album. And then, unfortunately, the last one to feature Michael Schenker. He left actually during this tour or after this tour. I'm not sure the details, but yeah, so they're all great albums. Strangers in the Night. In fact, it's often considered an authentic live album because, at least for Schenker's part, there's no overdubs in here because he wouldn't come back and lay down tracks for overdubs. So, and I think he's gone on record after years past that, he thinks they could have picked better tracks that he performed on to present certainly his part in UFO. But all great albums. I mean, I think that this would have been the tour of that Obsessions album, if I'm not mistaken, because it came out in '79, and much of it would have been captured during that tour. So great stuff for the letter U, UFO. Fantastic stuff. And then next up, Todd Rundgren. Many of you will be familiar with his production and engineering and all that stuff. And he did a couple of solo albums prior to this one. The band he formed, Utopia. This is 1974. Often considered, it suffers from compression because it comes in at about an hour long. So to get that much on vinyl, there is some compression happening here. And it leads off with the title track, Utopia, which was recorded live. But it's a good album. I mean, I guess if you're an audiophile, it's maybe not that great quality. If you were comparing it to maybe one that was spread out on a double LP or something, I don't know if that exists. I don't follow a lot of Todd Lundgren. And some of you viewing may only be familiar with his later stuff, like Bang the Drum All Day and whatnot. But this is his debut album of the band Utopia, not his debut. He had done some other stuff prior, but it's a good listen. I like it. He wanted to do some of that experimental prog rock stuff, and that's his dipping his toes into that realm. It's a good album. Next up, one band that I was never really into, but I got this through a pile. Just it was one of those scenarios where if I'm buying the records, I had to buy them all. And it was a whole box of them. I've explained in several videos before. Um, and this is their 1984 compilation, the collection it's called, of Ultravox. And I couldn't really tell you what the hit songs or the popular songs off this would be. It just wasn't something that was in my wheelhouse. I can put it on and I like it. It's a good listen. That new wave, it's 84 and it's that British new wave of, well, of new wave at synth sound, electronic. I don't know, but there are others in the BC who can certainly elaborate on that much more than I can. But it's good, and it's another one for the letter U. And finally, another band I don't have much of. In fact, this is the only thing I have of theirs on vinyl. I do have several compact discs, but this is just for vinyl. I don't need anything else. I don't. I don't think. The Unforgettable Fire, U2. I mean, their early catalog is okay. I don't mind it, but they're not a band that I would seek out the vinyl for. If I came across it and it was a bargain or something, I might grab it. I know I've listened to, is it called War or October? And there's a couple of their early stuff that I don't mind. Um, Certainly not as inclined to listen to their latter stuff. I actually think I have one of their CDs, How to Dismantle an Atomic Bomb. I think that's what it's called. I don't know why I grabbed that. It might have been in a bargain thing, but I do have it. Can't say I listen to it very much, but that covers all the letter U I'm going to do for now. So let's go to V, and a band I heard of actually through another band that I've loved almost from the beginning, Metallica. So early on, back in the day, before there was back in the day, you probably heard that 1,000 times. Before there was internet and it was all peer to peer, and you'd get your information, or I would get my information through, the Hit Parader magazines and Circus and all those things. Um, I remember seeing photos of Metallica, and they'd be on stage with their uniforms, their denim and leather and whatnot, and specifically Hetfield would have patches on his vest and whatnot. And I remember seeing a patch, and this band was on it, so that's what basically inspired me to check them out. And the band called Vardis. This is their EP, 100 miles per hour. They're out of the UK, and it's a really good band. It's a really good album. Probably best known for, I need my cheaters. I should know better. Dude, it's what's his name? Is it Kodiak? Yeah, yeah, Kodiak. Steve Zodiac, lead guitar and vocals. Just a really good rockin' band. A good album. There wouldn't be any tunes on here I would suggest most people would know, but it's just, yeah, for for a debut album, and it's this one is live, and it's another one that's guaranteed no overdubs. Take that for what it's worth. What's the guarantee worth? I'm not sure, but really good album. And then so I went and I got this one as well. It's The World's Insane, and it's really good. I think the 100 miles per hour is maybe just a little, yes, for lack of a better term, it's more raw. But I like this. This is good. This is actually I think this is their third one. So the one I don't have is Quo Vardis, I think it's called, the second one. I could be wrong. If you know, let me know in the comments. But yeah, really good stuff. I really dig these guys, and I owe that one. As is the case with, I mentioned in my last video when I was doing the Danzig thing. I was late to the party on the Misfits and all that stuff, and really only was introduced to them through Metallica. And I'm not going to go on about all that, but the amount of bands that have been exposed, that have gained exposure from Metallica, and bands like that covering their music, um, it's awesome. It's good exposure. Um, So let's move along. Next one in my V's is Van Halen, and my collection of Van Halen really is just the David Lee Roth era. So I'm going to start with this one, even though it's a later purchase, not even a purchase, add to my collection from Aaron over at Aaron Moose Alamer. He VCLT'd me this, and it's on that cool blue splatter vinyl. This is the Van Halen's demos that Gene Simmons was responsible for, and it's really good. If you have the opportunity to listen to this, you can probably find it on YouTube, samples and whatnot. You can hear so much of their sound that they would later um, lay down in studios with right up until their album 1984 and maybe even beyond. I'm not familiar with the stuff beyond, as I mentioned, only the David Lee Roth era. It's just really good. I really dig that one, and I'm so grateful to have that. Aaron, thank you again. And then their debut, of course. Van Halen's one of those bands where I have several double copies. So I have two of the debut album, and I keep the vinyl separated of the one that's in the better condition, so it's outside the sleeve in a protective sleeve. So their debut. Hard for me to pick a favorite with Van Halen, and then their follow-up, Van Halen 2. This is an older copy, and then I got the reissue not that long ago. You can see the difference in the cover. I don't know if it shows up on the video inside these sleeves, but this is a different shade of blue, and this is almost a bluish green of Van Halen 2. Very awesome album, as are every one of these, in my humble opinion. And then probably close to my favorite, at any given day, it could be my favorite, their third one, Women and Children First. I remember my older brother getting this, and this would have been my introduction to Van Halen. And ever since that time, I've been hooked. I just love these. This era of Van Halen is my favorite, and specifically this album. But then this one came out, and Van Halen fans will know. But fair warning, just a heavier, almost dare I say, almost a more metal sound to this album. Um, whether they were going for that, I have no idea. But just a fantastic album. If you've not heard this one and you've only heard, the popular Van Halen songs, maybe you've got a compilation. If such a thing exists, I don't even know if that exists. Um, do yourself a favor and check out that album. I would suggest check out all of these albums if you've not. And then, of course, Diver Down. This one suffers from being really short, and there's a lot of covers, but I like it. Van Halen always did great covers, in my humble opinion, and this is no exception. I love this album. Yeah, I mean, come on. This one suffers a little bit from some moisture damage over the years, but the medium, the record is still sounds fantastic. So yeah, where have all the good times gone? And then, of course, to close out the Van Halen, the one I alluded to a little earlier, 1984. Great album. They're all terrific albums, in my opinion. Yeah. And then moving along with the letter V. Yes, this one in my discography, and the way I file them is under V. The debut from Stevie Ray Vaughan. Masterpiece. Just incredible. Texas Flood. I mean, any of his stuff just gone way too soon. What an incredible talent. Yeah. I'm even lost for words to describe, like talent like that. We just had one there with Eddie Van Halen, and of course, you can't mention fantastic guitarists without Stevie Ray Vaughan being in that conversation. And yeah, just a great album. And last, and maybe in my wheelhouse, least. I was going to say last but not least, but no, this one would be least. I have it, but it was just one I came across, and it's. I just have fond memories from being a young, not even a preteen. God, I would have been a kid, basically 10 years old when this came out. I think 10 or 11 anyway. But my older brother had it. I believe he had it anyway. But it's the Village People, Go West, and this would be the one that is this the one that contains. Yeah, In the Navy. In the Navy would have been the big one on here. But I think I got this at one of those thrift stores, and it's in good shape. So I decided to grab it. I think it was $2. So I didn't pay a hell of a lot for it. I still got the booklet that came with it. Actually, I think it's a fold-out poster, right? Jesus, it is. Yeah, it's the poster of the entire crew there, the working crew. Yeah, so that's my U's and V's. I'll leave it at that. I hope to get more of these done in the coming weeks. I'll be realistic in the coming weeks. It's a busy time of year, and not that there isn't seemingly a busy time these days. Now that we're living closer to our grandkids, we certainly enjoy being with them much more often. So that takes precedent or priority over doing these videos. But I do enjoy doing them. I hope you enjoy watching them. I know there's not a lot of fancy stuff, and you've seen maybe stuff that you see everywhere else, but hey, I just enjoy doing it. So I enjoy watching the others. But anyway, I'll leave it at that. Thanks for tuning in, everyone, and the people I mentioned in the beginning there. Go check out their channels as well. I'll leave links below. You can check out their alphabet thread. I know this thread was started by Jacob, however you want to say it, and he seems to be, his channel doesn't exist. Hopefully, you're doing okay, or he's doing okay, if anybody knows. And Hope that we will see his return one of these days. But until then, I intend to finish the alphabet thread regardless. But I don't think I'll be taking part in very many more threads. I get into these things, and I feel like I have to finish it, which is fine. But there's other things I would like to do, so that's what I intend to do going forward. And I'll leave it at that. Again, enjoy your day, your weekend, your evening, whatever it is, whenever you see this. And hope to see you again here at Twanger's Turntable. Take care, everybody. Cheers.